had different levels of rock bottom. Like at 19, for me, what triggered the whole me wanting to lose weight, the rock bottom was going through a really bad breakup, and the guy was like, oh, you know, you're fat and so no one's ever gonna love you. And what he did was he struck a nerve, because I grew up being verbally and physically abused, and my abuser would tell me, you know, that's why no one's gonna love you, because you're fat. No man is gonna wanna be with you. So when he said those things, you know, I was like, wow, maybe my parent was right. But I'm gonna prove them wrong, because now I'm gonna go work out and I'm gonna make myself really fine, and no one's gonna treat me that way.
All right, so I watch your videos on Instagram, and Mo, you go hard. I was in there, like I'm looking at your videos like, man, I need to step my shit up. You train hard as hell, and I just wanted to salute you. Where does that drive come from? Like, why do you go so hard?
I think it's more so, you know, growing up being told what I wasn't gonna be able to do, what I couldn't do. Then I also acquired an injury from an accident. You know, I have nerve damage. But, you know, I was told, you know, I shouldn't weightlift and I shouldn't do these things because it's going to hinder me. Like I was supposed to gradually get worse within a short amount of time. And I'm like, look at me now, 10 years later, everything that I'm doing. Mo, you couldn't do this before, but you're doing it now. And then also it's where I let out my aggression. Like, I'm not an angry person, I'm very goofy, but when I face disappointment, when I face trials, I like to let everything out in my workout.
What I like people to take away from these videos sometimes, well, most of the time, is tangible, actionable items, right? So if you were to guide someone who has frustration in their life, they may be dealing with depression, or how do they transmute that energy into energy that they can use in the gym instead of energy that they use to overconsume food? I know you're here for some information and some inspiration, but none of that means anything if you don't take action, and you don't have to take the action on your own. And I'd be doing you a disservice if I did not let you know about the support that you can get at brixfitness.com. There's 4 options. You can join my accountability group, which has been a game changer for hundreds of people. You can get the 12-week transformation jumpstart programs, which has literally given people the blueprint, the step-by-step blueprint that allowed them to transform their bodies. You can hire me to coach you one-on-one, or you can get a customized meal plan. All the information is in the description below, brixfitness.com. Take some action today. All right, let's get back to the video.
Because so with the food, it's like you're feeling bad for yourself, so you're just eating. Whereas when I go in the gym, I still might be feeling bad. I still might be feeling upset, but it's like, what are you going to do to change the situation? You know, I'll go to the gym. Let's go work it out. Because stress, it's the killer of so many things. It's the killer of your mind. It's the killer of your peace. It's the killer of your joy. Why not take that stress and put it towards a workout?
Share your Instagram real quick. This is the first time I'm doing this in the middle of an interview, but share your Instagram.
It's Get Mo Fit on Instagram. That's about it.
Let's just Get Mo Fit. Just it's spelled exactly how it sounds, right?
GET_MOEFIT. Yes.
All right, bet. Just from what I can tell on Instagram, I'd bet on you, Mo. You know how important it is to share your story. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you hear it all the time. How much when you share on social media, it helps and it inspires a lot of people. It shows people that it's possible. Right. And I think the more these stories that I share with my audience and I share with the world, the less the stigma around it being like, oh, only a certain amount of people can do it. Like anyone can do this. So you lost a total of 80 pounds, right?
85, I believe, initially, to my smallest 150.
All right. So were you always heavy? Tell me a little bit about the process of you gaining weight.
So I was putting on 20 pounds every year. I believe it is in part due to the condition that I have. I suffer from PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I deal with insulin resistance.
So you lost 80 pounds predominantly doing a low carb diet.
Yes.
Is that correct? All right, so I'm not a big fan of low carb diets because most people can't stick to them. I also don't like that a lot of people villainize carbs because all carbs are not created equal.
I monitor the carbs I eat, but do I eat carbs? Yes, carbs, they're essential, for muscle building. They're an essential source of energy. I know that, but I have to be particular about the type of carbs that I consume.
So the low carb approach was mainly because of your medical conditions, and it was a hormonal thing, right? So like you said, it affected your insulin, so a low carb diet just made sense specifically for your body and your condition. So let's back up a little bit, because you aren't always this beast in the gym. Initially, you weren't comfortable in the gym, is that correct?
No, I was not. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to be judged. I was heavy. I didn't want people to see me working out. So I started at home. I started with the 30-Day Shred by Jillian Michaels. And I was comfortable with that because no one saw me. I saw myself changing, but no one had to witness me struggling, me breathing hard, me sweating. You get what I'm saying? You hear all the horrible things. Oh, look at that big girl over there sweating. She look a mess. Stuff like that. I didn't want to have to go through that. 2 months. And then, that's when I decided to get over myself and go to the gym. But working out at home, it was fine. I lost weight. I lost 40 pounds at home.
Okay, so you said you decided to just get over yourself and get to the gym. But that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people struggle with that insecurity, and they feel like people are watching them. What would be your advice to someone who is in that position, who is afraid, they're self-conscious, they feel like they don't know what they're doing? What's the advice that you give that person in order to get them, to help guide them into the gym and getting comfortable?
Just go in your own zone. And that's what I had to do. The first thing I did was I bought me some big old Beats headphones, because I was like, music helps me zone out. You have to figure out what's going to help you zone out. I put them on, and I just made sure I'm not going to make eye contact with anybody, because if I see them watching me, that means I'm watching them, which means I'm not focused on what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So, once I told myself that, I was like, you don't see anybody else. Just have tunnel vision. It's you in there by yourself. It's me versus me, and that's all I have to worry about.
I think that's the best response I've ever gotten to that question.
Because
no, seriously, that makes so much sense. And I know for some people they think it's easier said than done, but truly, if you just focus on you, and that's why I love what you said, get over yourself, because you were worrying about everybody else, which is the reason why you felt uncomfortable going in the gym. When in reality, honestly, people aren't watching us. Like, cause I felt the same way. When I first got to the gym, I would go in there, I would see all these buff dudes. I'm like, bro, I would compare myself. Like, I think our minds, by default, we compare ourselves.
Sometimes we push our own insecurities off on others to make us feel better about ourselves, when in reality, we have to deal with our own demons. And then it's all about being afraid. Like I tell everybody, fear is the thief of dreams. Take a step, take a risk.
You gotta push beyond it. You have to push beyond it, for sure. All right, so in that article on women's health, there's a quote there, right? And it said, I'd rather be in the gym than at the clubs with my friends. I'd rather run a mile and clear my mind than numb myself via drinking and partying. Describe what that shift was like, right? Because I remember the club was my life. My friends were my life, doing all these activities that didn't serve my body. Don't get me wrong. I still turn up every now and then. I still drink every now and then. But how did that shift happen to where you started valuing exercise and that sort of thing over partying and being social?
One thing that I've always been a woman of faith. So I've always had a prayer life, and I would always pray, for change and for something better. And I believe in doing that, God's going to show you that how things around you aren't aligning with what you're supposed to do. Fights are happening. I'm not that type of person. I like to have fun. I like to have a good time. I'm like, oh, this is not for me. I'm safer in the gym. You get what I'm saying? I don't, my life isn't at risk. I feel horrible after a night of drinking, whereas I feel stronger, better after a day of working out. You get what I'm saying? But you literally have to be true to yourself and who you are and your morals. And for a lot of people, that's hard for them to do.
So needless to say, you lost some friends.
There isn't one person as far as a friend that is standing next to me.
I prioritize my goals over everything. I prioritize my happiness and my health and my vitality over everything, right? So it's not hard for me to cut people off. If you are a person that's standing in between me and me being my best self, then you are disposable quick, right? And not everyone is at that place yet, right? So what's some advice to give to people in order to really navigate that issue with family and friends and when they're trying to change their lifestyle?
Going through it is what took me to it, especially if you're really set on what it is that you want to achieve. But when you go through it, take a step back and try and see things for what it is.
You're either going to make the decision to put some space in between you and these people who are hindering your progress, or you're going to have to deal with the consequences of not putting, exactly, and not putting that space there. So yeah, and that's, you know what, that's an honest response. You appear to be a very mentally tough woman. And I want to salute you on that, because it's rare to experience that, especially nowadays. And grit and mental toughness is not really a virtue that a lot of people value. I see a lot of myself in you, and I could tell you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And before we get off this phone, I want to remind you of how far you've come, right? And I know you know, right? But we all need these reminders sometimes to reflect. And I want you to be kind to yourself going forward. More so, give yourself more grace. And as I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it to myself as well. I see it in you because it is me. It is me. So I want to thank you again for sharing your testimony. I definitely want to stay in touch. Let's link up and shoot some content. We figure out how if there's any way that I can contribute to any mission that you have. You know, like I said, you got that thing.
Thank you.
You definitely got it. I look forward to watching your business grow over the next few years and seeing you touch more lives.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you considering me. I really do.
Definitely inspired.
Thank you.
All right, squad. Until next week, it's truth and love over everything. And get well and get money. Peace.